Welcome, everybody, to the Cats Coverage Basketball Podcast hosted on the Field of 68 Network. I'm Trace. Got Michael on your screen. We got Tim Smith with the Kentucky hat on. Guys, yeah, it is clean. I told him before we got on, I was like, Tim, I've never seen that. He said he kind of brings it out for special occasions sometime. The basketball podcast, what a perfect time coming off a win to bring that out. Michael, we'll throw it to you. You just got off the television, just got off. So, normally we do these sometimes we do these live to people watching. Sometimes we do these live. Sometimes we'll put them out an hour later. Sometimes we do them the next night recorded. Just scheduling so hard nowadays. Anyways, we're live right now. If you're watching this, you're probably maybe 20 seconds behind, if not up to date. We are live right now. Michael, you just got off the TV. How do you feel about this? Let's get into this LSU win. Finally a good, with ease, less non-stressful win to kind of wrap up the home season. Let's take it back in. How was that LSU win last night?
Yeah, in my sports block, I talked about the Cats getting the win, played some sound. Colin Chandler had a good bite talking about the seniors and how much they've learned from the seniors and how they think that the DNA of those seniors is going to continue to run through this team into next season, which would be a good sign. You want guys like Lamont Butler in your program every year, even if it's not Lamont specifically, you wish you could have him every year. But the Amari Williams, those guys, they work hard. They're good seniors. And so him and Garrison both talked about it. Those could be two of the kind of corner pieces of next year's team. You hope Ortega could be your superstar next year, but who knows? Could he sneak out to the NBA, be a second-round pick? I don't know. It doesn't look like with his three-point shooting percentages if the NBA is going to really love him. But they should love what he does inside that three-point line because obviously he's fantastic. He showed that at Oklahoma. But, good win for the boys. They needed I thought they were going to get 100. I was like, they needed just a 100-point game. They haven't gotten one in so long. So they came up a little shy of it, but pretty solid showing.
Yeah, I mean, finally a feel-good win after going through that gruesome stretch of the SEC schedule, going, I think, 8-8 into this game in the SEC. I think we're now 9-8 if I'm got my math right. Straight off of quite a beating by Auburn on your home court. They brought out the belts, straight, just total, you got owned on your own court. And, again, it's number one Auburn. It's not like this ain't the craziest scenario in the world. Yeah, you don't want that to happen, but, Auburn's legit. Auburn's legit. They're good. They've only lost 3 games. They just lost, a little hangover from Kentucky win. They've only lost 3 games this year. But, that's a team that's they just had better dudes. And so finally to get a feel-good win, you knew you were going to win against LSU. I think we were a 12-point favorite. Win by 31, kind of goes in with that LSU history of the Mardi Gras game, the comeback game, 31 points. They came back in the day. But anyways, special night. I was not in attendance. Tim was there for us and our guy Ethan. But Tim, I know you are, and Michael, you were there, weren't you, last night?
No, Colby was there.
You had every single game. Me and you, I guess, just stuck this one out.
I was shooting high school hoops, some boys 11th region tournament games. So,
Tim, I know right before this we discussed just a little bit about senior night, and I know you said it was kind of routine, just a senior night, but how special was it? There were 6 seniors. We're not used to having that much. I think Corey Price put out a stat of it's the 4th time we've had 6 seniors in program history or something like that. It doesn't happen often around here. But oddly enough, we're not used to having seniors because we have these one and dones. But in a way, we had a senior class of one and dones because, these people thankfully spent their last season of college eligibility in Lexington. I'm grateful that they did. But Tim, just seeing those guys, you've been at nearly every home game this year, taking their pictures. We got to kind of interview them and get their personalities this year. What was that like seeing, Kobe Brea, Amari Williams, Anzi Almanor, all the guys, Lamont Butler? Was there any special moments that stuck out to you watching them break through that ribbon and, come across and get honored by Big Blue Nation?
I mean, like you said, kind of just a routine night. So watching them, whenever I see these type of things, the players graduating, everything, the same thing happened last year. You always kind of feel like that proud parent, or even when Reed Shepherd, walks across the NBA or the NBA stage after being drafted and everything. You just feel proud, even though you have no real personal connection with them, but you watch them all year long, and these guys are 4 to 5 year players makes you really wish that we could have seen them longer, built that connection even more. But no, it's good to see the players' families. I feel like we don't know much of the players' families, and so it was good to see them kind of get to know them a little bit. But other than that, it was kind of typical.
Yeah. And Michael, I do want to talk for both of you. I do want to get into the LSU game in just a minute, but kind of jump past the end of the game. Again, I wasn't there. I got to listen to Tom Leach and then them do the radio broadcast at the end of the game. But and I saw the videos that were put out of them, giving their speeches to the fan base that stayed after the game. They were all flocked in there, and it just sounded like, not that this is new. We knew this already, but these guys truly, truly enjoyed this experience. And, we can also get into that video they made of the stuff they would tell their younger selves. Hey, you made it to Lexington, you made it to Kentucky, keep grinding, you're going to get there. But from the beginning, all the way back in October for Big Blue Madness, they came from the top of Rep Arena and all these different sections coming down. And then finally it's this is Kentucky's team. They were hammering that all their pro day and everything the whole season. These guys truly, truly, they're wow, none of these guys would have got brought here under Cal. Most of them wouldn't have, just different type of player that Pope goes after. But they truly, truly enjoy the experience. And we've seen it all the way through the whole entire season. And, their post-game speech, I think Amari Williams is the one he said, you all are the one that he pointed to all the fans and said, you all are the ones that makes this special. I mean, look at all these people staying after here. They were all just getting tear-eyed. Thank you for this special season in Lexington, man. It had to be a moment. I know we weren't there, but just to kind of sit there and Pope to understand, hey, stay out here and talk to these people, and they want to. That was really, really special. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My bad. I was gonna say that's something I wish that I had known was gonna go on, because I actually went ahead and gone down there to the post game press room and for the 2-minute mark. Yeah. And the game ends and there's a little TV up there, but the volume's always off. And you hear the buzzer. 5 minutes later, there's still nobody there. So you start to wonder, and I look up at the team to see that that's going on. So I really wish that was something I was able to catch.
Yeah. Senior night was kind of annoying the last couple of years that I've covered, just because they cram everybody. I'm assuming they did it the same way too, but they cram everyone there on the sideline, and it's just a nightmare. And then the broadcast cameras get in your way. I was I don't want to fuss with this anymore. I was I'll let Auburn be my last game of the year, home game. So covered that one, and that one was a fun game to be at. It was obviously a tough result and really was never close after Miles Kelly went nuclear at the start of the game. Those 2 banked in threes were crazy, but they needed this one. I can't give them a ton of credit just because LSU is so bad, but you got to give them credit for just kind of dominating all the way through. And now you got a big one Saturday. So I was looking at the standings, and so Mississippi State's 1 game back in that 9-hole, and the Cats are in the 8-hole. If Mississippi State wins Saturday and the Cats lose, they still have the same SEC record, and the Cats beat them head-to-head. So the Cats are going to get the 8 seed no matter what, right? Isn't that out of the question? They've locked up a bye?
Well, I think a lot's got to go wrong with the other teams. But from what we can control, it's pretty much going to be an 8 seed or better. But if you want to bet, the odds are definitely on 8 seed right now. Almost a guarantee, almost. But a lot of things have to get a little crazy for a
They can't go lower than 8.
They could. Now, there's a whole scenario. This has got to happen. This has got to happen. This has happened. I could not relay it back to you, but it's not likely.
Because Mississippi State, I thought Mississippi State was there at the 9. There's no way Mississippi State could jump them, right? So who's under Mississippi State? Vandy? So Vandy would have to win, and then the Cats and Mississippi State would both have to lose.
I don't know the rest of the SEC, to be honest. Their games that have left, but I know who's we were just talking about. Missouri is playing right now. They're at Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's going to shake.
Missouri doesn't matter because they're a game ahead. So Vandy, so Mississippi State and Vandy are both 8 and 9. The Cats are 9 and 8. So the Cats would have to lose, and Mississippi State would have to lose. Vandy would have to win, and then Vandy would jump up to the 8. They're playing Georgia, so they could win that game. So yeah, I guess it is. I guess yeah, that was my mistake for just kind of only looking at Mississippi State.
I mean, you weren't, it's pretty much locked up to be an 8. That was the betting favorite for sure. It's gonna be likely be an 8 Thursday at what, 1:00 or something.
Now they could jump up to the 7 if Ole Miss loses, right? And you win. Ole Miss is playing tonight against Tennessee, and then they go to Florida. Those are 2 pretty tough games. So if Ole Miss loses both and the Cats win Saturday in Como, then you're the 7, which is better. Because then I was talking with one of my buddies here at work about it. I was like, out of those 2 seeds, who would you want to play the most? Florida, Bama, or Tennessee can still possibly get the 2 seed. You beat Tennessee twice. Can you beat them a third time? Well, I really like that matchup, so you just have to say you'd rather play Tennessee. You don't want to play Bama, really. And Florida and Bama play tonight, right? So the winner of that one's basically going to get the 2 seed. And I don't know. A rematch with Florida, gosh, it's been like 2 months since that game, right? So much is different now. But you did beat them at home in a shootout, 106-100. Can you score 100 points now against a good team without Jackson? Like, I don't know. So
and Kobe Brea away from Rupp, it just doesn't seem likely, man. We don't put up a lot of points on the road. I would not want Florida on the road.
But there's still a chance. Well, it's neutral court. So, and there's still a chance that you can beat them, right? So you could potentially get to Sunday like that. That's a pipe dream. If you get the 8, then you're just done you're not beating Auburn. So you're done there. But, it would be kind of fun to see them make a little run here in Nash, but you would have to win Saturday and have Ole Miss lose both games, right? Because they have the tiebreaker. They have the head-to-head. So Ole Miss would have to lose tonight to Tennessee and then lose on Saturday to Florida. Then you could get the 7. Then you play Bama or Florida.
Yeah, a lot got to have, a lot to play out. We've got a week or so. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah, we've got less than a week. A lot to play out. Early prediction? Today is Wednesday. How do you feel about this Missouri game? I know going on the road to top 20 Missouri. They've got wins over Bama, Florida. They beat Arkansas. I mean, they beat teams. What I'm saying is they beat teams that we haven't. Texas, Ole Miss. They've had a lot of big wins this year, and of course they're going to want to add Kentucky to that resume. I'm a little worried. I think, it's just more of being in Columbia at Missouri versus neutral site. I wouldn't mind take Missouri here in Rupp or in Nashville, but I am a little worried on the road. Kentucky is a totally different team away from Rupp Arena, totally different. And you don't have Jackson. I'm not sure if we've got what it takes to win in Missouri on Saturday.
Tamar Bates is real good. Caleb Grell dropped 28 in that loss to Vandy. That's crazy. But yeah, I know he's good. Mark Mitchell's good. Mitchell has been good this year in a few games I've watched them, but obviously Tamar Bates is their dude. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough game, tough place to play. But I still think the Cats have a good shot. If Ansley can, maybe he's emerged. The ghost of Ansley Almanor has kind of been a spooky thing the last couple of weeks. He's just been a 0, but he how many did he have last night? He didn't have a lot.
15.
Did he have?
Yeah.
That's good. Like, you're going to need him. You're going to need maybe could you imagine if Colin Chandler just became Jackson Robinson? I mean, obviously that's not going to happen, but it was LSU, but you still got to give him a little credit for looking comfortable, hitting a couple threes. So if he could somehow just get hot, maybe it took 30 games to shake off the rust, the mission trip rust, but maybe he finally got over the hump. That's kind of your hope for making some magic happen. You just need one of these guys to just replace what Jackson gave you, and then you're going to have a chance to win on Saturday. You're going to have a chance to win a couple games in Nashville.
Yeah, I think with Colin Chandler, I think it is just reps as well. He's gotten a lot of reps with Jackson being out and giving these guys breaks and kind of Pope realizing that Travis Perry is not the best option to have out there in terms of like defense and things. Colin Chandler provides you some value on both sides of the ball. And I think that Vandy game when he had whatever he had there brought a lot of confidence out from him. And now I feel like he's good to go. Early in the first few games of the year, multiple times I made a comment to myself at the game of like, this guy's not ready for Division I. At that time, he was getting beat by no-name guys on small programs and just was a step or two behind everybody. Was clear early on. I think just now with multiple reps and not getting pulled when your first mistake happens and things like that, it's just confidence and he's got comfortable out there. And that does a lot for a player. And now that he's got, if you can now factor in 5 to 10 points from him a night when you weren't, you're factoring in 0 for him for most of the season, that's going to help bring, somewhat of Jackson Robinson's production out. And then if Kobe Brea, he's been stepping up in his role as well. If he adds another 5+ points to his points, you're somewhat making up Jackson Robinson's, points that we've lost with him out. But, Mark Pope made an interesting comment the other night. He's saying, of course, it hurts not having Jackson Robinson out. Of course, you wish to have him. But like he said, now we know what our team is. Now there's no question. Andrew Carr is pretty much 90 to 100%, pretty good back now, if not 100%. He's not came out and said yet. Before the LSU game, Lamont Butler said he's at 85, 90%. So you finally got those two guys healthy. Kerr Crease is not coming back. That's all down out the window. But you now know what team you have pretty much going into the postseason. You got one more game left, but like you could find his struggle, his avoidance of an excuse for our injuries. But this year was saying we just got a new rotation every single night. We're trying to figure out what works with our personnel because we're without our guys. Now you know what you have, and I think Pope's going and that staff's going to get a more calculated plan of okay, here's who we got. Here's how you're going to benefit this team in this way. Here's how you're going to help this team in this way. And I think it's going to be a more strategic game going into Missouri, more than we've seen in a couple weeks.
And hopefully that injury bug kind of gets shaken off. We don't, we talk about regular season, like we know what our team is going into the postseason, but you just can't everybody stay healthy throughout the postseason, however long it is. So just gotta hope. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, Mark Pope. I remember sitting when he was telling us the injury for Jackson Robinson. What he was saying, I'm like, what does that word even mean? I went back and watched when he was telling about the injury and kind of quoted it. I think he's come up with it's right here. It's got no way I can remember. It's called a torn subsheath to his ECU tendon. Whatever the heck that means, something in your wrist. And, he does say that he will be out until May, June, around the draft. That hurts, man. But, Mark Pope even said, I've been with this guy for 2.5 years, followed me from BYU to my inaugural season in Lexington. Like, it's like, it hurts, man. That's my guy. I
feel bad for him, because he finally got over the hump. Like we criticized them throughout non-conference for even like the Duke game when he was just kind of nothing. And it was like, whoa, what's up with this guy? Like they're going to need him. They're going to need him. And he finally comes through, gets those 20-point games in conference play. So you feel bad for him. But, I just I asked Pope about it in the presser because I actually hadn't seen Matt Jones's tweet that he was probably out for the year. Like apparently that came out that morning and I didn't see it. So I was just asking Pope just like straight up, like, could he come back this regular season? What's the deal with Jackson? And then that's when he dropped the bomb. And but it's good that Lamont's healthy. He had a nice dunk last night, but that was obviously his healthy arm. But he seems like he'll get more comfortable with that brace. You hope that he can knock down some outside shots and maybe get more comfortable, but maybe not. If that brace is so tight, then maybe his shot just isn't there. I mean, the brace is kind of like preventing, that if it is a labrum or whatever, it's preventing it from going out and getting out of place versus if it's just up, then maybe, he can keep that, kind of smooth motion and maybe just shake off the rust and be able to shoot because they're going to need him to score, obviously. And if he can knock down a couple threes, that'd be huge. But yeah, like you said, Trace, like you just need Kobe Brea to not be like a once every 5 games kind of guy. He needs to be like a once every other game kind of guy. And then same with Ansley. Like these guys got to step up. But if they all step up and put together a good game, they could for sure win on Saturday. So I feel like they got a good shot, and I feel like it would also kind of give them a lot of confidence going into postseason play to just be like, all right, people are doubting us. We have a couple guys out, but like, no, we're still here. Like this group, we can still do something. And I think a win on Saturday would prove it and give them a lot of momentum going to Nashville next week.
Well, so see, the thing is, it's like the ranking on the other team doesn't scare this team. As we know, how many top 15 wins have they got this year? How many top 10 wins have they gotten this year? Going to on the road at number whatever, I think they're like top 20 right now, Missouri. That's not like, I don't think this team's worried about that at all. It's just the thing is finding out where your production is going to come from. Over the last handful of games, we're having guys stepped up that we've, in the first 20 something games where we weren't used to. And against LSU, we had Colin Chandler with 11 points, Ainsley Almanor with 15. Both were like season highs for both of them, something of that sort. Brandon Garrison had 15 points as well. Those guys are making up for a limited Lamont Butler who had 5 points, and Otega Owe had to go for 24 points as well. That's got to be like his second or third highest of the season. Andrew Carr's only giving you 8 as well. Butler and Carr both played over 21 minutes and got just a handful of points. So like those guys they're getting healthy, but they're just still not back into the production that they were. So that kind of hurts. And the thing is, who's going to be the person that steps up? Now at home, it's Kobe Brea. At home, it's Ainsley Almanor as well. On the road, it's been Brandon Garrison, Amari Williams here and there, and at home, Colin Chandler. But like on the road, it's like who you're going to pick to step up. And like, I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm going to say who it should be. The betting favorite is going to be Kobe Brea, but like he's a different maniac on the road versus home. And, just a limited team, man. It does hurt not having Jackson Robinson, but there's not 1 ounce of me that thinks that the ranking on the road environment is going to affect this team. That's out of the equation for me.
Yeah, well, I kind of there at the beginning of the season, I remember thinking that Carr's going to be that guy to kind of step up against those big teams where he had a great game against Gonzaga, had a great game against Duke in that second half. And then, he went down to Clemson, and I think that's kind of where it switched off for me there. So, I mean, he has stepped up so much here recently. And, I mean, a lot of these guys have tournament experience. So, hopefully they can all, kind of keep it up and may not even have to really have that guy, just start meshing and playing well together.
Wouldn't it be so funny after, like, just – after all this time of everybody dogging Chandler, like deservedly so, he was awful. But now, what if he scores 11 every game? Like it's not impossible. It's pretty unlikely, but it's not impossible. If the guy, he was the player of the year in his state, in Utah. He's a good player. The guy can hoop. It's just he needed confidence and he needed to just figure it out, catch up to speed, and like what if? I think that's the piece. Like if he does, then maybe you could still have a special March. I still feel like they're a Sweet 16 team, and I've said it every single week with you guys. Like I'm not leaning off of that. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. I think they can do it, and then they'll lose to the 1 seed in the Sweet 16, and that'll be it, right? But like you can get there. You can get out of the Sweet 16, and I'm just trying to will it to happen because if you would tell me in my 4 years covering Kentucky before I moved to Lexington, I'd cover 4 basketball seasons and not one team would get out of the first weekend. I'd be like, you're crazy. Yeah. I'd be like, I think I'd get at least 2 Sweet 16s out of the 4 years. Yeah. So, like, I'm not about to go 0 for 4. Like, this team has to do it, man, and I think they can.
Well, Tim, you made it a phenomenal point, kind of going off what you said too, Michael, is these guys are they've got experience in the tournament. I mean, I think it was Ainsley Almanor who helped upset Purdue. Mont Butler's been to a Final Four. And I think did they go to the national championship that year? He hit the game winner in the Final Four, I think.
Yeah, I think they were the runner-up
to the title. Okay, these guys got experience. Who else on this roster? I guess maybe there's those 2 guys. Andrew Carr.
Wake Forest didn't do much. Maybe, yeah.
But the thing is, these guys.
I want to say got some tournament experience. Probably. I know Dayton, was.
Kerr did, but obviously he's not playing. But
yeah. Even with these guys, not some of them have experience, but the thing is, they're all veterans as well to go against that. They've got a lot of experience in college basketball. So like, there's not a world where we're gonna go. Kind of like we did against Oakland last year, and our stars go for 3 points and 5 points and just get cold feet and do nothing. Throughout the whole postseason, I think these guys, Michael, throughout the whole postseason, I think these guys are going to bring a lot of value, and their floor is going to be so much higher than a lot of teams, and they're going to avoid those crazy upsets. Now, you might run into a team that's better than you and is not as injured as you, and that could happen easily. But I don't see a scenario where we just get upset about not being prepared, being scared of the moment. And you deal with that a lot when you have the one and done freshmen. Now you got upperclassmen who have been built and slowly marinated for years for that long moment of the postseason.
Reed dropped 25 points in the NBA last night. 25 in the NBA
against the Thunder as well.
He scored,
Great
2 points?
team.
2 points against Oakland?
Yeah, something like that, man. But hopefully we can have a better outcome this year. I truly think we will. I think we for sure. I'm confident. I really think we win at least one in Nashville, at least one in the March Madness for the NCAA tournament. Otherwise, you're gonna get the butt of jokes for a lot of that stuff. If he was to go 0-2 somehow, that's exactly what Cal did. It's like the jokes are there.
Yeah, I wonder about the seeding. I don't know what Lenardi has them at now, but like last week, he had them as a 3 still. I was like, there's no way that they're a 3 seed. And with 9 losses at that point, now they have 10. Like, there's no way they'll sniff a 3. They'll be 5, I think.
I'll tell you his
reasoning. Best case.
His reasoning is because I kind of had that thought too. I'm like, how are we still up here? He said his reasoning is because of all the top 15 wins that we have. We've got quality wins, like 7 or 8 of them.
Dude, you can't have 10 losses and be a 3 seed. No.
Well, but see, we're in a weird scenario though. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We've got elite wins and awful losses. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. If you want to make the case for him of why he's saying that, it's like anybody can lose on any given night to a worse program, but like not anybody can go out here and beat these top 15 teams consistently. You get 1 or 2 or maybe 3 in a season. Kentucky's got like 7 or 8 right now. There's probably top 4 of the best. Of the programs in college basketball that have that many top 15 wins this year. Like they're up there. They've just won big games. And I guess that's his caveat with that. I don't know.
Yeah, but you also lost to 2 bubble teams, Georgia and Arkansas, which as I said, I get the Arkansas loss. It's just, there was so much going on. So I don't hold that against them a lot, but I don't know. I don't see a 3 seed. I think if you're a 5 and you play a 12, I see that being more realistic. Like a 3 seed is crazy. They've just lost. I mean, you get smoked by Ole Miss. You really almost lost to Oklahoma. They're looking like they could miss the tournament. So you lost to Texas, a bubble team, could miss the tournament.
I know this is out of conference, but that Ohio State game, man, still sticks out to me. Just how awful it was. And I want to say I saw like a mock seeding, and they were playing for an 11th seed.
Yeah, that Clemson loss isn't bad at all. Clemson's in the top 15. Like they look good.
Well, Clemson's beat who? They beat Duke. They beat North Carolina. I know North Carolina's not that good, but did they beat Kansas? Like they've went through the Blue Bloods this year. I'm serious. Clemson is like they've got some wins too.
Yeah, they're good. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. Honestly, if you're a 4 or a 5, you have to play the 1 seed in the Sweet 16. Like, would you mind just dropping down to a 6 and then you don't, you'll have to play the 3 seed in the second round, but then you'd play the 2 seed in the Sweet 16. It's not bad, right? Because these 1 seeds are just like ridiculous. Auburn, Duke, Houston, like you want no piece of them. Like you don't want no smoke against them. And then the 4th is up for grabs, which could be Florida or Bama, depending on who wins that game, which is tonight, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah, it's going on right now. Yeah. 36-35, Florida's winning in the first half. That's a slugfest, but could be. I would think probably the 4 seed is going to be one of them, right? Depending on what happens.
Yeah, it's
you kind of have to give 2 1 seeds to the SEC, but yeah, you don't want to play Bama again. So I don't know. Again, yeah, seeding, it doesn't matter a lot, but a 4 or a 5 having to play the 1 seed in the Sweet 16, I don't love that. So.
Who are you all going with today with 1 game left on this regular season? Who you going with that's going to win out in Nashville? What team you feel most confident in? Auburn. Now, without looking at a set bracket, I'm going with Auburn or Bama, depending on how they kind of match up with each other. But I don't know, man. We get another matchup of Auburn and Bama this weekend. I'm sure it's at Auburn because it was at Bama last time.
On Saturday.
Auburn's losing in March right now. I mean, they lost one, but maybe some shakes there.
A&M, you could see it from a mile away. A&M lost 4 straight. They were desperate. Auburn just won the league, right? They just won the championship, so they were chilling on the road. Yeah, you could see that, but A&M needed that one really bad. So I don't know. I think Auburn's really scary, and I didn't think they were that scary before seeing them in person. But Pettiford and Kelly, I mean, Janai Broom had an awful game, and they still smacked you guys by 20. With Janai having National Player of the Year having a bad game, so I don't want no smoke with them.
Michael, me and Tim were talking just a minute ago before you hopped on here. Well, I was kind of really me pushing this narrative. Listen, if Kentucky was to match up with Auburn in Nashville and they somehow were to win, I would not predict that at all. They better go find every belt in that arena right there and start going belt to ass on Auburn players because that's so disrespectful in Rupp Arena. I understand they are the better team. You beat them if you don't want them to do that, but man, the disrespect that was I was mad for the players. That was awful.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I saw Vince Wolfram. He's a good dude. He's a Auburn student who was working at LKY in Louisville last summer. I think.
Well, the 68's podcast for Auburn.
Yeah, he's good. And Jeff Goodman was saying that he does a really good job with it. And he's a great dude. So I was happy for him to see his tweet blow up, and Barstool picked it up and everything. But I thought it was funny. I think it was worse. At least they did it off close to the tunnel. I thought it was worse last year or in the fall when Vandy football went to the logo and was kicking the UK logo midfield and doing it. That was disrespectful. That's if Pettiford went to midcourt and started doing belt at midcourt, then yeah, that would have been bad. But he did it in the tunnel, not the tunnel, but just out by their bench. I get that you'd be mad, but it was funny, and they deserved it. It was belt. I mean, they brought that belt out, but I don't know. And that's at home. I don't think a rematch would go much differently. I mean, maybe if Kelly doesn't go nuclear, then maybe you keep it closer. But I think I just like what Auburn has a little bit more.
They're phenomenal. Yeah.
Like I said, Pettiford, Baker Mazzaro is the real deal.
Tim,
it was really just them three in that UK game,
but
they just all went bonkers. They only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but really only 4 players scoring, and they put up 94.
Tim, did you? I think Tim was. I don't want to cut you off. Tim, did you have something to do with the belt to ass?
Yeah, man. I just got to say, Michael, wouldn't happen if we weren't everyone's Super Bowl.
Oh my God, that's so true. That's so true.
You guys are the worst. That's what I sent in our group chat, right?
Another Super Bowl that we lost, though. Another Super Bowl that we lost.
What is it? Yeah. What is it? Okay, so on that tweet, Big Blue Uzi said, that's all he said, Super Bowl.
Yeah, no.
And then I said, UK fans are so annoying. I can't stand the Super Bowl, guys. Grow up. No, Auburn's their Super Bowl. No, you're not their Super Bowl.
I don't know, Michael. I didn't see T-shirts laying out on all the chairs in Rupp Arena. I don't know.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Stirring the pot. He's trying to get us the conversation.
Timo, you've got, gosh, you're killing me.
Oh, they kind of converted me onto that side. I'm kind of agreeing with it now.
Let me ask you this: same teams. Bruce Pearl's big thing is like he can't make it far in the tournament. He can have his best teams, and this is probably his best team, if not one of his best teams that he's ever had, in my opinion. Do you have any confidence they do anything in the postseason past the Elite Eight? Like, do you think they're getting there? I know they beat us that one year, Auburn and Bruce Pearl, yeah. Because Bruce Pearl's got that on his shoulders of like they can't do anything deep into the postseason, no matter how good his team is. How do you feel about this team?
It's probably the best that he's had, really. I feel like they have to probably be the favorites.
Yeah, they were good a couple years ago, right? They almost won the SEC, or did they win the SEC and then they got bounced early or something?
They won it last year.
Yeah, they did. We sat there and watched that. Me and Tim did. They won the SEC tournament last season. Yeah, on Sunday. Yeah. But I don't remember what they got beaten like early in the tournament, like a game or two. But the farthest they went in recent years is when they beat our Tyler Hero team and went to the Final Four. At that point, we got beat in the Elite Eight. They beat us. I mean, so to go to the Final Four, or maybe it was to go to the Elite Eight. I think it was to go to the Elite Eight. It's been so many years now, so many games and seasons. But if he can't do something with this team, come on, man. Like this team's elite. They've lost 4 games out of 28 or something like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and they're all like 40 years old.
Yeah.
They're like what's their average age? Like 24?
The Thunder, their entire roster has a lower average age than Auburn does, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's wild.
I want to get another kind of going back to the LSU game. I want to get both of your thoughts because I know there's 2 angles to this that you both it's going to be perfect for the both of you. So, Michael, I want to start with you just because it works out that way. And Tim, I want to get your thoughts on the back half of this part. Zach Tao checking in the game with 0.2 seconds. Michael, I want to get your thoughts of just how funny that was. And then Tim, your thoughts of like being growing up in Kentucky, how special for a Kentucky kid that was. Michael, let's hear it. What did you feel about being checked in with what? There was final 0 on the final clock, and they went back and put 0.2 and said Zach Tao and the rest of you walk-ons get out here. And he caught the ball inbounds, and that was his highlight. What was that for you like?
I don't understand why Pope didn't put him in sooner. Like the game was over forever. Like they could have. Pope could have put him in for. I'm surprised he didn't do that with like Walker Horn or anything. Like. They could have put him in with like a couple minutes left. Then he could have actually scored a basket, and then the crowd would have went crazy.
I think he just forgot, but like the game literally ended, and then they went back because if you go back and watch a broadcast, because I did today, it said 0-0, and it showed the Kentucky bench, and there was Zach's face right there with 0, and it lines up perfect. And then they come back and put 0.2, and it comes on. That was so funny. I knew you'd get a kick out of that. And Tim, me and you grew up in the state. We all had that exact dream. 12 months ago, that kid never would have seen this coming. And then Mark Pope, probably 8-10 months ago, maybe not even that long, said, hey, tryouts, 60-something people showed up, and this fraternity president won out everybody and got on the team. Didn't even I didn't know this. I never paid attention the whole year. He didn't even have a jersey. He had nothing but sweatsuits the whole year. They didn't have a jersey for him the whole season because there wasn't going to be a chance that he went in. He only helps him in practice. And then they got him a jersey. Lamont Butler said it was an idea about a month ago or whatever, Pope said, and checked in. And, his sister, I don't know if you all got to see it. His sister put on TikTok this video that blew up like, my brother, he grew up the biggest Kentucky fan, living out his dream. Tim, so many people in this state, that was all of our dreams growing up, and he lived it. It's just kind of really cool to see, man.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, he worked hard to get there. Like you said, he competed against 60 some odd people, and he deserved that spot on there. But I remember Coach Pope at the beginning of the season was saying, something about how they weren't going to give up there in the final minutes, all the points matter when it comes to the seeding and everything. So that's probably, I'm assuming, why he never really put those walk-ons out there. It was probably, if he had scored a bucket, it would have.
Well, see,
come on.
I know. I agree. I feel like he should have been put out.
Let the boys have some fun. Go out there, get a bucket. Come on.
He should have. Yes, I'm right there with you, Michael. He should have put him in. But I think I forgot about that point. Yeah, earlier in the season, he's like, how much you beat teams by, and every single game matters the whole year, and all to the seeding stuff. He's got something down. I guess they were trying to max out the belt to ask.
Beating LSU by 25 or beating them by 31, like. Come on.
No, I'm not taking up for him. He should have put him in. But Oh well. Did you see it? They put him out and Walker Horn's like, what do we do? And he just had the biggest smile on his face, and the crowd went nuts.
And
And
then what? Derbyshire.
Derbyshire was good too.
That's funny. Good for them.
Yeah, that's had to be a cool moment. But
They are those three guys. They ended their season with a total plus minus of -1 or -1. So
oh my God.
that 0.2
Funny story.
got him one stat at least.
Actually, never mind. I'll share that off the camera. Never mind. Never mind. Back to I just had impulse thought. Share that off the camera. But anyways, Kentucky is now sitting at what 20-10, 9-8 in the SEC. You know, we kind of hit on this last week as well, but I kind of want to hit on it again. You know, not including the last game at Missouri, but you know, Kentucky's 20-10, and I want to get your all's thoughts on this too. A lot of people kind of are saying, you know, 10 losses, that's not Kentucky standard. That's you know, where there are some losses in here that shouldn't have happened. We should have had about 6 or 7 losses at the worst. But I want to make a case that part of me is being a homer as well, but also reality as well. You know, this Kentucky team had a month to be put together when Mark Pope got to Lexington. Real quickly, this is not probably the exact roster he would have put together with a whole year of recruiting and things like that. And overall, to me, it's a success. They went through the hardest SEC conference of all time. They've got, I don't know the number. They've got what, 7 probably top 15 wins. They beat Louisville. They beat Duke. Yeah, they beat Louisville. They beat Tennessee twice. They beat Duke. They beat Gonzaga. You know, you want to beat Arkansas because of the Cal stuff, but like if Cal wasn't there, beating Arkansas is not that as big of a deal. You know, you did just about everything you would have wanted to going into the year outside of the whole Cal stuff. With a month to put this roster together in the hardest conference of the SEC has ever been of all time. And now you're projected to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. And then you're also projected to be, you get at least one bye down in Nashville. Like, you know, outside of the 10 losses, if you just kind of forget about that number for a second, you look at the whole resume and, you know, you can nitpick and, you know, say, well, you shouldn't have lost at Ohio State. You shouldn't have lost Georgia. You shouldn't have had these bad losses because you shouldn't have. To me, I'm still like, this is a successful first year. How do you all feel about that? Do y'all feel different than me?
I thought you had something to add on there, Michael. I thought you put it in there for a sec, but I mean, I'm happy with where we are. I think the standard's kind of out of the window right now with two back-to-back first-round exits. So, I mean, I'm happy with where they are, but, you know, my mind always just keeps going to March. Are they going to get out of this? And then kind of reflect back onto the regular season. But those top 15 wins are the highlight of this regular season. And those were pretty bad losses. But I think those wins definitely stand out more than those.
Yeah, I feel like definitely a successful first season. If Lamont was hurt as well, like if Lamont was out for the year too, then it would have been like, okay, this is a wash. Like no matter what happens in the NCAA tournament, like you can't hold it against Pope. But with the team they have now, they are still good enough to win a game, and they're really probably good enough to win 2 games. So I still expect them to get out of the first weekend of the tournament despite Jackson and Kerr both being out. So if you lose round 1, even with the injuries, it's still a disappointment. Like that's still a letdown. And as I said before, like the honeymoon ends kind of with Pope. Like if you go get bounced first round again, upset again, it's like there's no excuse for that. Like your team is good enough to win a first round game. So if it's a 5-12 and you get bounced by the 12, which I'm sure some people are going to pick in their brackets, like you can't lose to a 12. You can't lose to a 13 if you're the 4 seed. You know, you can't lose to the 11 if you're a 6 seed. Like those are going to be popular upset picks. But if you get to the second round and you lose to a tough team, then, you know, whatever. But you really need to get out of the first weekend. If you get out of the first weekend, that's really all UK fans should expect.
Yeah.
And then you got some real momentum. Like, okay, we're a second weekend team again. We're back. Second year under Pope. Let's go win an Natty. Or, you know, make a Final Four. At least, like, now you have something to build on versus being stuck in this in this like brutal pattern of not getting out of the first weekend. Like you just got to break it, and they're good enough to do it. And if they don't do it, it'll be pretty disappointing. But at least you got to win a first round game, or else it really is a disappointment.
But one thing I did forget to, when I was kind of ranting there at the beginning, is forget to throw in the whole injury bug. I mean, for a while there, you were without your best player. You were out 3 of your 4 best players. That's got to hinder your season as well, going into some of these losses as well. But I do remember back in April, Mark Pope saying, now he was just hyping up the Kentucky fans and like not basing a whole lot of reality into this, which is fine. But, he's saying anything less than a banner is a failure. In the historic standard, yes. Now, when reality gets in play and you're dealing with injuries, you're dealing with seeding, how the bracket comes out, you got to give some grace there of like, okay, not everybody's, you're not going to win 6 games. Going to the Final Four is not a failure. Elite 8 that we haven't been to in a decade is not a failure. But yeah, I mean, what is a failure? Now, if you can make a case to give Mark Pope a little grace, but I wouldn't. A failure would be getting first round, second round. Like I think we need to have a floor of 2 wins and in the NCAA tournament. I think you also would like to win in Nashville a minimum of a 1, unless you just, it just matchups everything. It's hard to really put stuff together without seeing who we're playing. But like, I think over under 3 wins in the postseason, SEC tournament and NCAA tournament combined, 3 wins has got to be your floor. Anything less than that, make your case of how, man, that you underperformed a little bit. Even with Jackson Robinson out, I still feel that way.
Yeah, I like it. You got to get out of the first weekend.
You do have guys that can get you a win. Lamont Butler's phenomenal. Andrew Carr, Mario Williams, Kobe Brea when he wants to be. You don't have just nobodies on this team. And Jackson Robinson, in my opinion, still was not your best player. He was top 3 best player, but Otega Owe is, in my opinion, the best player. And you have him fully healthy. So, like, yeah, you've got to win some games in March. You got to.
Yeah, I would. In the NCAA tournament, I would say just hope that you avoid those Big Ten teams. And that's not me being a Michigan State homer. But, like, Izzo, especially this year, Michigan State is always playing good defense and always winning the rebounding battle. They're plus 10 on the rebounds every game. And they play great defense, and they're physical, and they're tough, and that's what Big Ten basketball is. Like, those are ugly teams, and they play ugly, right? And so, if you're the Cats, like, putting up 100, with Jackson Robinson and everyone out there and spreading, like, that's fun, and that could certainly beat these Big Ten teams that can't shoot the 3 ball that well, like Michigan State. But if you're not hitting those shots – and like Ansley and Kobe Brea and those guys aren't hitting 3s and Lamont, then it's like, oh, then you have to try to get in the paint and you have to win those ugly stats against a Big Ten team. Like that's a little concerning for a second round game. So I wonder what that draw is going to be. If you luck out and you have like an ACC team, I'm sure they wouldn't mind having a rematch against Clemson. Even though Clemson's good, that would be a solid rematch. Or I don't love the Big 12, but Iowa State's tough. If you're the 6 or if you're a 5 and you win your first round game against the 12, but then you have to play like 4 seed Iowa State, like that's not a great draw, but I still think you have a solid chance there, or maybe anyone else in the Big 12. But those Big Ten teams are a little tough. So if you're not scoring and you have to get into a physical, like ugly game against a Big Ten team, which prides itself on that, that's where it gets a little scary. But again, we'll kind of map that all out Selection Sunday.
Yeah. Just a random thought. I'm just looking at these projected seedings, but it would be interesting matchup to have like Kentucky versus Michigan end up beating up there, just with how ball dominant their bigs are and how like Danny Wolf really runs that ball up almost or a lot of their possessions, and then we have Amari running the ball up. That would be an interesting matchup. That's probably something you don't see too often.
Him and Golden. Michigan's got a solid team, but we're about to get that dub on Saturday. Sweep those boys. Let's see.
There you go.
So one other point I do want to hit too before we hop on out of here is I'm already foaming at the mouth for a senior year Otega Owe. He's a junior. I mean, I didn't put a whole lot of that together throughout the year in my mind. I knew he wasn't a senior, but I just kind of didn't ever really process the thought of like Otega Owe. If he's in college basketball next year, he'll be in Lexington. He might pick up some buzz, some of that Jackson Robinson late second round like we saw last year, and then come back. I'm sure he's going to go through all those workouts. But it's very likely he's playing college basketball next year, and it's still, in my opinion, Kentucky's best player this year. He's going to get some postseason with Kentucky under his belt and come back and lead next year's team as the senior. I'm like drooling about how great he's going to be in Lexington next year, putting up 25 a game. Is it too early to start thinking about it? I know we got a whole postseason to go, but he was talking in the player interviews last night. He was just talking about what the seniors meant to him and how they in his own words, set the tone and set the culture for the next few years to come of what this era is going to look like under Mark Pope. And he's like, they did a great job. They showed me the way, and I'm going to try to carry that on. And I think somebody asked him, he's like, well, if you're next year, are you going to be that guy leading them on? He's like, yeah, these guys set the way. I'm happy to carry it on. Something paraphrasing a little bit, but there was definitely no he was kind of leaning into okay, next year it's going to be me. It seems likely. I'm already ready for it.
Yeah, for sure. That would be great. We were talking about Kerr and how everyone's kind of said, all right, he's coming back here this year. And I wonder, if maybe he would go somewhere else just because he's going to have to sit behind Jasper and Caden Lewis are going to be the guards. I wonder if Travis or Kerr, maybe one of those two guys aren't going to come back, because then it's just who's playing point guard. Those minutes are going to be dwindling. So you hope Kerr could come back. I don't want to root for Travis to leave. I would certainly love for Travis to stay and figure it out, but I wonder how that'll go. But yeah, it doesn't that they might leave because of fit. But yeah, it seems like Trent should be back. Garrison should be back. Chandler should be back. And then, Otega, you would think if he's playing college basketball, he should be back. Well, I don't think he would go anywhere else.
There are a lot of unofficial, of course, buzz right now saying that Kerr Kriisa, just a little buzz, saying that he's going to St. John's with Rick Pitino, Brandon Garrison.
Whoa.
That's what they're saying on social media. And then at Brandon Garrison, they're saying that it was the Trilly Donovan guy saying Brandon Garrison's not coming back next year. He's pretty accurate. I was talking to someone the other day about Kerr Kriisa. If he was to go, which at this point I believe this, I think he is going to go to another school next year. He's not going to sit behind all those guys in his last year. Kerr Kriisa, I just don't know, with the limited evidence that we've seen with him at Kentucky, what his professional career looks like. I'm not saying he can't. I can't give you a good analysis right now what that's going to be like. If he's going to have all these years playing pro, overseas, wherever that may be. So while you're still relevant, your name's still popular, why not go spend your last year of college basketball if you're healthy, getting a starting role rep for another NIL college bag, make this money while you're in college. To me, it just makes sense. I think he's going to go get a starting role. I think he started everywhere he's been since before coming to Kentucky. I think he was going to be backup point guard here and play a lot. It just didn't work out that way because of his injuries. I think he is gone. I think Kerr Kriisa is going to go start on a team, name the team next year, get a big bag, and then try to make it a couple years overseas. Who knows?
Yeah, no telling. He may go ahead and want to jump overseas, just where he can go back home and be around his friends and family. That's always something that's stuck out to me to a lot of these foreign players, is how far they are away from family and how just new the Western world is compared to where they are.
But I would think he would. You would think he's going to play another year here before he goes. If he's got it, he's going to use it, right? He'll make more money here.
I don't think it'll be Kentucky. That's just me, though.
Right. But I'm talking to Timo's point. He could just jump and go overseas now, but I would think if he's going to get that year, he's going to use it, right?
Yeah, he very well could. I would say that's probably the likely outcome, but just don't know what he's thinking.
But I don't know. If Otega just he showed in the second half at Oklahoma, if he does that in the tournament and wins a couple games, kind of just putting the team on his back, I wonder if that would be enough to get him to go. I wonder if, but he just can't shoot, man. What's his 3-point shooting percentage? Is it even at 30?
That's got to be the holdup. I mean, he's just not a shooter, and you've got to shoot to be in the NBA. That's got to be the holdup why he's not on these draft boards, because he's phenomenal in college. He's putting up 20 points a game, but they're not from deep. That's got to be what it is, his shooting. And, he's all right. I mean, he's decent at defense. Let me give him a little more credit. He's not amazing at defense, but he's solid, but he's not amazing.
He stepped up more recently, too, on his defensive end. I think he'll definitely test the waters, and depending on the postseason, I think that'll be a big determination because all eyes are on March. He very well could jump into draft stock some.
He's at 33. That's not as bad as I thought. I thought it'd be closer to 30 or maybe even below 30. 33 is not bad, but yeah, he's pretty good, man. I think someone might want him and get in his ear. If Chris Livingston could go, be the last pick, right? Like,
what was that?
Point.
I don't know.
But yeah, I guess before we hop out of here, I did want to just say, like, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to say thank you to these 6 seniors who spent their last year of college eligibility in Lexington. Amari Williams, Kobe Brea, Lamont Butler, Andrew Carr, Jackson Robinson, and Ansley Almanor. Like, seriously, from someone who grew up, I'm a Kentucky fan at heart, grew up watching all these teams throughout the year. This last offseason was a little shaky. At the most, like, what's, shooken up the Kentucky world's been since I've kept up with the Cats, my younger age. Then Mark Pope comes in here and he brings these guys and they're like biting at the chance to go play for Kentucky basketball, one of the best programs of all time, a blue blood that they would have not had a chance to come here if Mark Pope wasn't the coach, if Cal was the coach. Just different recruit. That's not a knock. That's just different players they go after. But like, they from the jump knew what it meant to be Kentucky and be Kentucky's team, and they kicked its ass this year. And I just, from myself, want to give them my greatest thanks of, like, thank you for spending your last year of college eligibility in Lexington. You did it right. You did a good service to this team. And like they said, man, we're not done yet. They said they're not done yet, and they seem hungry to go get a postseason run. It's their last year of college eligibility. I'm here for it, man. And I told Tim before this. How about them Cats, man? How about the Michael? You missing the shirt? Michael, you missing the shirt. Let's go do it, man. I mean, we're hurt. I know we don't have Jackson Robinson, but this is still a solid team. Let's go get more than 3 wins in the postseason. This fan base is so hungry for it, man. Mark Pope knows that. This team knows that. Give it to us, and let's go out there and hope the draw doesn't screw you over, and stay healthy until the final game of the season. And, like, I don't know, man. This team's not done. At least that's what they say.
Gotta win. Yeah, gotta win Saturday. You win Saturday and you get the 7, then you have a little hope. You have a little hope in Nashville, but if not, you're going to lose to Auburn.
These players deserve a good run in the postseason. I think we deserve a good run in the postseason.
Fans deserve a good run too. These fans, man, man. There's Michael. You just said it too. You came to Lexington 3 or 4 years ago. We've not seen anything. This fan base is the same way, man. We've not seen anything, and this fan base is hungry for some postseason. And at this point right now, man, you want to win in Nashville, but right now I'm just like, survive Nashville, survive it. Don't get hurt, get a win and hop out. I'm not telling us to lose, but like, survive Nashville. It matters a lot in that moment, but when that tournament's over, we know we're not going to win the SEC tournament. Those are my words, but like, we need you for March Madness in the big time show. Like, survive Nashville. Let's go win in March in the NCAA tournament. This fan base needs it. I need it.
You're telling me you don't want an SEC tournament win? Like, you're saying this tournament doesn't matter?
Listen, we don't have a chance to win this SEC tournament, but we do have a chance to win a game or two, and that needs to happen. Listen, no questions. I get what you're doing there with the whole Cal stuff, yeah, but you can't go down there and lose one. I mean, you lose the first game, that for sure, but you win one, and then my mindset is like, okay, who do we got next? If it's Auburn or somebody, survive it, don't get hurt. Let's go to the big time show.
Yeah, and like I was saying, these players deserve, a good postseason run for sure. I mean, it was the last game of the season. Well, one thing for sure, Pope, after every single home game, I mean, he sits there for like at least 30 minutes signing as many autographs as he can. He was there. He was still signing autographs whenever I left. Me and Ethan were leaving, and Ansley was out there too for some time, and Kobe and Amari were out there too signing autographs for some time. And they you could tell that they love it. And I'm sure you guys saw the video that UK put out with them like sitting down and talking on the phone like they are to their younger selves, and kind of like how far they've come and how it's their last season and they make it to Kentucky and everything's just going well and getting all these wins and everything. So I mean, it's almost like a storybook in some way. You know, these guys deserve a good ending.
That video was so cool, man. It really was. They did a good job. That was a good idea to have that out. And, you know, it feels good, man. It really feels good to have, again, this is not a knock. It sounds like a knock on former players. It's not, but like an entire team that truly understands what it's like to be at Kentucky and how special it is. You know, for off the record, I have a girlfriend that we've been dating for short term, about 5 or 6 months. You all know about it, but listen, she's from another state and she lives here, obviously, but like she doesn't care about sports, and she doesn't understand what Kentucky basketball, like how big it is. And no, you know me, I'm feeding her to like how great it is, but like, she sees the games and she's like, that's a lot of people. I'm like, okay, go look at the other opposing arenas. They sell out at 9,000. We have 20,000 for Brown and Colgate. Like, this is a special thing. And, you know, I could go on for another hour, but I'm going to stop myself right here. But like,
no, I didn't think that he could date somebody that's not a Kentucky fan. I thought, how is this even possible? His mind's got to be blown every game.
Believe it or not, she's an Indiana fan. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh.
Tim, you're spilling the beans on the air. Listen, okay, she went to Indiana University, but just kind of like, she don't even know who the coach is. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, yeah, she had some Indiana shirts, and we got rid of those pretty quickly. And yeah, that is all true. Tim's right. But I've been, you know, over the last a few months that we've been together, over the last year or so, I've been kind of, you know, telling her like what Kentucky basketball and explaining it as neutral as I possibly can be to tell her just how the legacy behind it. And she just, it's hard to concept, and it's hard for me trying to tell someone who doesn't know that. You know, everybody I talk to knows, they understand, even if they're like not a fan or a fan of Louisville or something, they understand. And it's just, it blows my mind of like these players understand you don't get this many other places. You know, the second place is way far behind the first of Kentucky, but like, it's special. And to wrap this all up, man, these players understood it from the moment, because Mark Pope leading the way knew exactly what it meant. Team captain of a championship team, and it's been a fun ride for his first year, man. Just been a really, really fun ride.
It has been.
I love him. He's great. I'm rooting for him.
Me too.
Yeah. You're telling me that Jack Dempsey's wasn't enough to convince her?
Yeah.
Four stories, shoulder to shoulder, Kentucky fans all out in New York.
That's what I'm saying. In New York City, the traveling international hub of America, like it's a top 5 city in the world in terms of biggest international people who don't even care about Kentucky sports. An entire 4 to 5 story bar decked with Kentucky fans, 12 hours away for a non-conference basketball game. Special, man. Special. I know they lost. We're not going to talk about that, but special. So many scenarios all the way out against Gonzaga at the beginning of the year across the country. Man, it's just special. You go to Oklahoma. We ain't been there in decades, and Kentucky takes that place over. Now I know they barely won, but Kentucky took it over. It's special, man. And everybody watching this, and you guys as well, you all know that. I'm really making a message for the people who I guess probably aren't watching this podcast. But anyways, sorry, you're gonna have to stop me before I keep rambling. But like, these guys understood what it meant to be here, and I just wanted to thank them. That's all I wanted to do.
He's got the hard eyes for Kentucky basketball. Any meme with hard eyes is what Trace is on right now.
You gotta slow me down, because I'll keep going. But guys, I guess we'll end this one here. Heading into Missouri. Tonight's Wednesday night. Let's try to go get a win. I don't know if I'm just be, reality is a real thing. I don't know if I'm predicting to do so, but I think we got a fighting chance.
I feel confident. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm lagging out a little bit. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. And Tim, if you want to take us off air, thank you all for watching.